While continuing to gather practice for stage training and stage training, I thought of some more things to demonstrate to help show the relationship and relative nature, to let go of identifying exclusively with things and rely only on our senses.
Okay, the first exercise, get a friend to help you and hold the newspaper. Walk slowly away from you until you can't read the headlines. Turn the page to make sure you can't read the headlines. Then have your friend read the top headline. And you will, if you're normal, you will immediately see it. Now, after doing these experiments is much more helpful than just hearing about them, by the way. Once you have tried this and the headline suddenly becomes visible out of the blur, ask yourself, where is the headline? In the newspaper, in your brain, or in some relationship between the newspaper and your brain? Interacting. Where is it? Okay, that's the first exercise.
Like the example of having 3 bowls of water, one that was hot, one that was room temperature, and one that was cold. I could then show how you put your left hand into the hot water and your right hand into the cold. Then for a few minutes to get used to those, then put both hands in the room temperature water and show that you feel colder to your left hand than it would to your right hand in the same temperature water. So that shows how your senses can be cooled.
Another exercise, go through your apartment or house, wherever you live, and pick up 12 to 15 objects, more or less at random. If you're looking at this on DVD, I suggest you turn it off right now and go get the objects so you won't stack them unconsciously to fit a theory. Okay, are you back? Now you got 12 to 15 objects. Sit down at a coffee table or a dinner table where you got lots of space and separate them into one group on the left and one on the right. On the left, put all the red objects, and on the right, put all the non-red objects. Now you might find that some objects are partly red. Where do you put them? That's the beginning of destroying the either-or that's dominated Western philosophy. But after you separate them into the red and the not red, including the things that are half red and half blue, which you don't know what to do with, then separate them a different way, things that float and things that don't float. If you have a balsa wood duck like I do, yeah, that's one thing that floats. If you got kids around, you probably got a rubber ball that will float. Otherwise, everything goes on the side that's non-floating. And then try another division, metallic things and non-metallic things. Using your own ingenuity, think of about 10 more ways of separating them. Notice how things move from left to right depending on how you separate them. And then ask, are the categories in the things as the medieval realist thought, or are they only in our heads as the nominalist thought? Or are they some relationship between our heads and the things? And do that exercise. It'll do you more good than hearing about it. Okay.
I could also include the exercises in maybe logic CD with Rob Anton, both showing different ways of changing your perspective and recognizing the difference between what you see, what's out there, and what you tune in.
Next exercise, get a group of friends together and sit around and select somebody to be it. Whoever is it will take a watch, and without telling you how much time, will say go. And eventually will say stop. Between go and stop, you should have paper and ink for this too. Between go and stop, see how many sounds you hear. As soon as he says stop, right, as soon as it says stop, write down as many sounds as you can remember. Let's see who has the longest list in the group. Give them a round of applause for hearing more than anybody else, being the Sherlock Holmeses of the group, so to speak. And then see how many people in the group have heard sounds that weren't on that list. Now, whenever I've done this, I've always had groups of 30 to 300, and it always turns out almost every hand goes up. They heard sounds that weren't on that list. In a smaller group, it might not be that dramatic, but I think you'll find everybody has at least one sound that wasn't on that list. This again illustrates the difference between the tuned-in universe and the imaginary objective universe we think is out there. Now comes the second part of the exercise, which is really interesting. After you've gone through that, ask how long it took for that exercise. Everybody write down on your paper how long you think that took, the listening exercise. And you will find quite a spectrum. I found people guessing as low as 15 seconds and as high as 4.5 minutes. And then don't let the person who did the timing tell you the correct time, because that's a mechanical, arbitrary convention. Just remember, everybody creates their own time, just like you create your own greens, your own reds, your own purples, or if you're a disciple of Ayn Rand, your own black and white.